Now, for more on China-Norway ties, I'm joined by McClory live from Irvine, California. He's president and head of China at Biovac Company. Welcome back to the show, Dan.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Now, with warmer diplomatic ties between China and Norway, both countries are expected to resume talks on a free trade pact. What sort of sectors could we see bilateral cooperation on?
Well, just to give you a little quick background though on Norway, what comes to mind, Rochelle, when we think of this country is, they're really tops in three areas. Number one, as we heard earlier in the show, they're a massive producer of seafood. So salmon is huge. Something like 65% of the world's supply comes from Norway. Two is they've been voted the happiest place on the earth, the happiest nation. That's kind of interesting. And three is they have one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the world, around $1 trillion. So with all of that as a backdrop, we don't want to underestimate this nation of just 5 million people. And I think, to your point, they're going to come together on a free trade agreement and possibly even some geopolitical agreement regarding the Arctic Council. It underscores the will of the Norwegian people, which is to do business with China and to not get caught up in maybe some of the other rhetoric and politics that have existed. I had a great example today of this, Rochelle. I was speaking to the Chinese chairwoman of a Norwegian company. It's called Biovac Environmental Technologies. This is a Shenzhen-listed company in China that acquired a Norwegian company because they're especially good in soil remediation technologies, which can be brought back to China. Another example of clean environmental and agricultural-oriented technology that these two countries can come together over if they're just given the chance to cooperate.
So then perhaps in terms of potential other areas that they may go into, you mentioned the issue of energy, but what other opportunities could there be for economic cooperation?
Well, marine and maritime come to mind almost immediately. Agriculture would be another example that we could think of. And there's also a strong technology component. But going back to my example of the Chinese-owned Norwegian company, one thing that they've seen is the character of the people in Norway. They call them Viking-like, strong work ethic, very dedicated. And I think that only bodes well for an increased and a deeper relationship between the two countries.